Back here at Spring Sports Media Day with the head coach of Maryland Baseball, Rob Vaughn. And Rob, let's look back before we look forward here. You host an NCAA regional at home last year. You win a Big Ten regular season title. You bring Maryland baseball into the forefront for the fan base that it hadn't been in a few years, and people are super excited about your program. Talk about what that meant to you guys and your team and how much it makes you want to get it this year as well.
No, I think it was huge, and I think, starting kind of with the administration making that thing happen. I think you look back to March, April, we were playing well. There were conversations about what that may look like, and we didn't know if we were going to be able to do it on campus, and that was a game changer having it here. And the atmosphere was electric. The fans showed up, sold the place out for every game we played in. I think the only thing I wish we had back is that last Monday game. Wish we could have finished that thing and headed out to Palo Alto, but that's baseball. I think some things I'll never forget is standing in center field during batting practice and looking kind of out over the stadium and seeing just a line of people as far as I could see to get in the stadium. And going back to 2012 when we got here, I think that's something that guys like Swoper and I had a dream that it could do this, and we got to see that come to fruition. Now it's our job to run it back and try to finish a little bit better this year.
I was going to say, you now kind of have that motivation. You lose that final game against UConn. Now all the guys that have come back know that that's possible, but that there's other steps to be taken. What has sort of been the mentality of your group as you've gone through the fall and now started, the spring practice of being like, okay, we did all that stuff, but there's more steps we can take to, get to Omaha, win a Big Ten tournament title. There's other things you guys can accomplish.
No doubt. These guys are getting a lot of accolades right now, and that's great. I'm proud of them. They deserve it. But I've been really proud of the fact that they're really approaching this thing as still feeling unfinished, and I think that's a big thing. I think they have a very sour taste in their mouth watching UConn dogpile on our field, and you see different rankings come out. You see this, and you wonder as a coach, how are they going to react to that? Are they going to kind of take the foot off the gas? And it's kind of been the opposite. Those guys have showed up every day and worked their tails off and have been very professional in the way they go about their business. So, as always said, last year's team was a great team. I mean, one of the best in school history, but that means nothing for this year unless we go out and take advantage of that and capitalize on what we need to do.
You're an offensive guy. You lose some big-time offensive production. Your Troy Schrefflers, your Bubba Alines, your Maxwell Costas, but bring back some star power as well. Max Shaw, Luke Schliger, among others. What do you see in that offense coming together as you move towards the opener?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a pretty scary offense again. I was just sitting over there talking to Luke and Maddie about that, and I think, starting with him, Shaw, LaRusso at the top, I mean, that can be suffocating to start the offense that way. And then you have guys like Patrutz, who took a huge step forward. You have newcomers like Eddie Akopian and Matt Woods. They're going to factor heavily into this thing. Elijah Lambros, who's been outstanding. So you lose some pieces. Obviously, Bubba was the best player in our league this year. Had one of the best years I've ever been a part of, but returned some really good pieces. So, I think it's our own thing. I think sometimes you look, it's like, hey, we're going to do X, Y, Z. We'll see. But I think there's the talent, there's the ability, and there's the mentality on the offensive side to go out and do some pretty special things.
It's got to be nice as a coach to bring back Jason Savicool and Nick Dean right at the top of your rotation. You have those two slots kind of figured out. We know what those guys can do. They're proven. How do you fill in behind those guys, both as starters and in the bullpen, to kind of round out your rotation?
Man, it's funny. Obviously Ramsey had a great year last year, and I think he threw a perfect game. He did some of that, but I don't think you realize until you go back and look at it as numbers how special it actually was. I mean, he was incredible. So replacing a guy like him's tough. But we got a lot of guys that can do it. Kyle McCoy's a freshman that's come in. He's a Jersey kid. He's tough. He competes. He's got a chance to be pretty special when you bring over Nate Havathier from Ohio State, who can really sink the ball. Has made some really good adjustments and has thrown the ball well. It's going to be in the mix for that. You've got a D3 transfer in Kenny Littman. Same thing. Got a chance to kind of be a swing guy for us. Ryan Van Buren has taken a massive step forward from last year. So while you don't go into the year saying, hey, here's 1, 2, 3, line them up and go, I think the depth of the pitching staff is probably even better than we had last year, which as a staff is something we're really excited about.
You guys play a really good schedule. You don't shy away from playing anybody. You're going to Ole Miss. You have a great tournament in Minnesota that you're playing, and you're going down to Florida a couple times to play some really good teams. Obviously, the Big Ten is no joke either. When you put that together, did you envision sort of, an iron sharpens irons approach? We're like, look, there's no reason for us to play a bunch of cupcakes early. We've got to sort of show our team, who the teams are going to have to beat, once they get into May and June.
No, I think there's no doubt. I think, and there's no secret with our league. Rutgers got left out of the tournament last year because the committee deemed them not playing a hard enough schedule, which in my opinion, is just a flat-out miss by the committee. But that's what they decided, so we're not going to let that happen. And I think it also helps we have a really mature team. I think you go out and get out really hot out of the gates like we did last year, you set yourself up for some pretty special things. If you have some ups and downs, I think this team's mature enough to keep walking through that thing. So I think it's going to prepare us for what comes next. And I think as a coach, winning 48 games, winning 50 games, doing this thing is awesome. But if you asked our group, would you rather win 48 or would you rather win 40 and end up in Omaha, that's a no-brainer for this group. So everything we're doing is trying to prepare them to be successful in May and June, and I think the schedule definitely does that.
I'm excited.
Me too.
This is the best time of year.
Best time of year. Man,
Come out to the Bob.
Come out to the Bob, baby. Pack that thing and let's go back to work.
The ball's going to go over the fence a lot. That's all. If there was any proof last year, that's going to be
If we
fun.
don't know anything else, there are going to be a fair amount of balls on the other side of the yard.
Right into the practice field.
That's right. We got to tell the soccer and those coaches make sure they have helmets on when they're practicing corner kicks out there.
I think Sasha would willingly do that.
That's it.
Make sure to go on to umterps.com, find out a time you can come out to the Bob and support Maryland baseball. Rob Vaughn, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.